One of the best things about fighting games is that they're full of personality, whether it's the characters themselves, their flashy moves. Obviously things like the soundtrack matter in this as well, but one area you can't ignore is the stages or arenas, whatever you'd prefer to say. The point is, when you think of some of your favourite moments playing a fighter in your life, I'd guess there's a decent chance that the arenas you played on had a certain stake in it, for better or worse. As Mortal Kombat is a series that has spanned multiple decades, any number of console generations, and has always had a developer team willing to try new things and experiment, we've seen a number of occasions where the arenas themselves can have a larger input on the match itself than you might expect. From sometimes simply visual changes all the way to mechanical. We are Ketchup and Mustard, and in today's video, we look at some such arenas, as we cover 5 standout stages across the Mortal Kombat series. Number 5. Corrupted Sky Temple, Mortal Kombat X. We're starting with an obvious one, but come on, look at it. Are you surprised? The Sky Temple in MKX is an awesome stage. A bit of a visual party due to the heavy rain and weather in general, not to mention the lighting. It really does work aesthetically. However, as part of MKX's story mode in the later chapters, we see Shinnok doing his usual bad guy things and everything turns red and angry, changing a few stages to have an overall red theme, making them slightly darker and generally quite different, which works from a story and lore aspect. However, specifically for the Sky Temple, oh my god, did this stage get hard to look at. Tournaments would tend to just restrict the ability to play on it, and PC players avoided it too, due to just the sheer busyness and particles and all that usual stuff. A cool stage, but definitely one with infamous undertones. Number 4. Yin Yang Island, MK Deception. You know what? I love Yin Yang Island, but I always assumed this stage might have a bit more of a love-hate relationship within the MK community. But no, the majority of the time I see this stage discussed, it's almost unanimous praise for either the nostalgia or the creativity of it, which I think is really cool. For those of you unaware, Yin Yang Island is a stage from MK Deception which was, at its core, a small circular arena with a few obstacles thrown in. It's got pleasant and cheerful beach music, the sun is shining, and where most stage obstacles are dangerous and pointy, Yin Yang Island you just might get a coconut fall on your head. Oh no, how horrible. It must be nice to fight in such a friendly environment compared to what these characters are used to. That is, of course, until the entire stage changes at a moment's notice, the coconuts turn into skulls, the arena is shrouded in darkness, oh yeah, and the piranhas come out. The 3D era stages were some of the most creative in the series in my opinion, but this one really does stand out amongst the best of them in terms of throwing a spanner in the works. From a gameplay perspective, the daytime cycle is safer as it doesn't feature the death trap piranhas, but not really knowing when the time cycle will change really adds a layer of discomfort, which is really interesting. Whether or not we'll see another stage like it one day, I don't know, but we can hope. Number 3. Rooftop Day, Mortal Kombat 9. We're shifting focus to specifically a competitive opinion here, as I'm sure the more casual fans out there would see MK9's Rooftop Day arena and just see it as a rather plain place to fight with no real difference to the others. However, that wasn't the case, as Rooftop Day featured one huge element over the other stages. It was the widest stage in the entire game. This meant that the game's already extremely powerful long-range zoning tools, see Cabal, Kenshi, Freddy for example, had much more room to play with when it came to keeping the distance and doing what they do best, making this stage an absolute nightmare for those who had to play cat and mouse, spending the entire round chasing them. It was such a common occurrence as well, as MK9 had a significant issue in player 1 advantage, which is heavily detailed in our MK meta video for MK9. But the TLDR is that if 2 moves were to trade, player 1 will win every time. This meant that before many tournament matches, players would flip a coin to see who got player 1, and the losing player would get to choose the stage. For some keep-away players, they would intentionally just let their opponent have player 1 advantage so they could just choose Rooftop Day. True story. Number 2. Falling Cliffs, MK Deception. This is a polarizing one. Falling Cliffs is one of the most memorable arenas of the 3D era, and to no surprise either. It's a unique stage where at the beginning the players are fighting on a large circular arena, but once the match begins, a layer of the outside will keep crumbling away slowly but surely until there's just a tiny platform left where there's barely room to move, let alone fight. This by itself wouldn't sound too impactful if a little strange, but remember, this was MK Deception, which introduced arena death traps which would instantly win the round, and the outside of falling cliffs is all death trap. It's even more dangerous than most stages, as if the player is standing on the edge when it crumbles, they fall with it, resulting in a round loss. What's funny is that both players can actually fall off at the same time as well. Some hate it, some love it. I adore it and will sing its praises with full bias, but hey, that's just me. What I liked about this stage was that it was perfect to play with your friends if they were less serious about fighting games than you were, as the cheesy nature of the stage means they can get some cheap wins on you that just made for a lot more fun. Number 1. Bottom of the Pit, MK1. And last but certainly not least, it's the bottom of the pit. This stage is arguably one of the most iconic in all of Mortal Kombat in my opinion, as it perfectly captures everything that had the arcade era full of hidden secrets and rumors. The pit as a whole has been seen in most Mortal Kombat games through the years, but ever since the very beginning, the mystery surrounding it has been front row and center, and that's thanks to the game's biggest secret and was present in the very first Mortal Kombat. Additionally, there is a reason that I've specifically chosen the bottom of the pit for this list, because ever since the beginning when we all figured out you could perform a stage fatality by simply hitting a dizzied opponent with an uppercut, we saw what the bottom of the pit actually looked like in all of its nasty glory. Many MK fans will tell you that there was a certain curiosity of, I wonder if you can fight down there. And that returns me to my point. MK1 featured a secret reptile fight. We all know how it goes. He shows up sometimes, gives you a cryptic message, leaves, and after the player achieves certain challenges, you're rewarded with a fight with the Green Ninja himself. The messages, however, are what really built the mystery around the bottom of the pit. The messages themselves featured all sorts of teases, such as, I am Reptile, find me. Alone is how to find me. Perfection is the key. Fatality is the key. Look to La Luna. Blocking will get you nowhere. And finally, in reverse, the bottom of the pit. This meant that if you did indeed find a reptile fight, you would battle him in the bottom of the pit for the first time, and up until MK Trilogy, this was the main way you'd be able to fight in this arena. The bottom of the pit would return in future games as well, but nothing could compete with the initial surprise of now playing in the very spot that you'd sent so many opponents falling to their untimely ends. I expect we'll get a fair amount of debate in the comments for this video, as there are so many potential picks and stages that I'm bound to have missed some favourites. But remember, these are just some of our personal picks for standout stages, and I'm sure we'll do more arena themed episodes in the future, so watch this space. As always, if you like what you see, make sure to subscribe to the channel and tap the notification bell to stay up to date on all of our regular uploads and more.